pop up a little thing. And dude, yeah,
We're live.
we are live. What is going on, everyone? Welcome to another Pendergast podcast, and what an honor it is today to have Chloe Maddrill on. What is going on, Chloe?
Oh, just preparing for 2024 season. Switching things up for my racing this year, and excited to be trying a supermoto, the 2022 KTM 450 SMR. It's going to be a little bit of a hooligan, mostly probably an Arma, so that'll be exciting.
Yeah, supermoto is a proper sport right there. Man, it used to be big in the early 2000s, right? And then all of a sudden, I mean, all the stars. Shoot, it was in the X Games. Man, I miss that. Those days, right? Yeah, you had Ben Bostrom and Mark Miller, and the Go Show, Scott Russell, and all them. But supermoto to me has always been. I love watching it because the way them guys, especially the real professionals, well, they get their handlebars like this far from the ground, right? And it's just, yeah, in awe the whole time. So I'm sure you do that, right, Chloe?
Oh yeah, totally. Yeah.
I knew it.
No, in the future, maybe.
Right. Yeah, that's good stuff. So listen, Chloe, I want to get into this because we have a lot to talk about. So who introduced you to the wonderful world of motorcycles that we grow up to love?
Oh, the TV.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah, long story short, like I was a only child basically up until the age of 6, so I had to entertain myself. Oh yeah, that's me. And that's the little sticker there when I was 4. Peterson's side of my family, my maiden name, all Viking lovers. They would
Valhalla.
Yeah, they would make me wear that helmet and before I could talk or hang out with them. And that was a Christmas picture, and I was wearing a really cute outfit. And my mom was saying in the background, "Don't make her make mean faces. It's not ladylike." Well, here I am doing not a whole lot of things that aren't ladylike.
I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good stuff. Good stuff. So TV, you was like, I need. How do I get?
Well, so like I saw on TV, just sit in front of like it was part of like my imagination. Like, so you get a helmet cam view, and I was like, oh, what is this? It's so provocative. Like, right. And I would make forts and like all kinds of stuff using the couch. So I grabbed a couch cushion and straddled it like it was like a motorcycle. It was like leaning side to side with it, and it's making those little like liquids in your ear feel good because you're like moving back and forth. And I was like, I don't know what this is, but I love it. And I grew up with my dad, like restoring and racing classic cars. Like I grew up at the drag strip, and he eventually, he usually would race his 68 Camaro. It was like I think a high 10-second quarter-mile car, nice. But he got tired of going a straight line. And then he changed it over to road course. And every once, like we'd go up to like Road America, and I'd see people with motorcycles, and I was like, I want that. And I knew that I couldn't afford cars at the level that he does, unless like I inherit them one day, but I don't want to bank on that. And I was like, well, motorcycles are cheaper and easier to work on. So I got into I was like, all right, when I graduate college, I'm going to get a motorcycle. And that I found friends that helped me get into it, and just rode on the street. Didn't think I would do track stuff until my aunt's friend's husband, who was a sport bike track time coach, she was like, hey, you should check out Sport Bike Track Time. So I rode up there by myself with my Icon, like zip up on, purple mohawk.
Like, what's up?
And I was like, just by myself, my Gixxer 750. The thing was like needed help. So it wouldn't keep a charge because, go through stators and rectifiers like crazy. And I only had money for eBay. So it had like 2 starts, and then I'd have to figure out how to bump start it. So strategically park so you could go downhill. But yeah, I pull up at the track, and it was like the end of the year, and I was like looking at this. I was like, I want to do this. There's some really nice people there that were like watching this white chocolate melt in the sun because it was like end of September. And they were like, are you here by yourself? Yeah. They're like, come check out, like, come hang out with us under our easy up. You're melting. And they introduced me to a bunch of people, and I was like, okay, I want to do this. So I bought all the gear. And then the following year in 2015 on Memorial Day weekend, I did my first track day.
That's
So
awesome.
yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So, what was your first bike you bought?
Uh outside of, well, my first motorcycle I bought was like a, ooh, is it a late 80s, early 90s, like Suzuki RM 250 two-stroke, which I had no freaking business to be on whatsoever.
Nice.
Not riding with, like, I was riding with like a $30 eBay helmet and like gym shoes. And
A half shell helmet.
no, the
Oh,
full.
okay.
But like you put it on, every time you put it on, you're like ripping part of like the foam out
The
of it.
liner out. Yeah.
Yeah. And so just like ride that in farm fields, like hopefully you don't get caught by the cops. But then I bought the Gixxer 750, the 2003, as like my first street bike. And it wasn't the bike that I wanted, but the guy I was dating at the time kind of like forced me to buy it. And so I
Yeah.
was like, whatever. He's like, you're going to outgrow the 600. You should just get the 750.
Little did he know, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I learned how to ride on a CBR 1000R. So it's like, oh,
Nice.
we'll step it down a little bit, while he's screaming like $1,000 deductible at me as I'm riding around in a parking lot. Like, I don't want to drop this thing.
Right.
Yeah.
And you're making me nervous, man. Back up. Give me some room. Yeah.
Yeah. Just
Yeah.
up.
Yeah. Please. Let
Yeah.
me do my thing. I ride better than you.
Yeah. Well, the MSF course people said that we rode just as good equally, and he had been riding for years.
Nice.
So, oh well.
Nice. Yeah. So when I turned 16, I bought a motorcycle instead of a car. But I did take a motorcycle safety course we have here
Yeah.
at a local college, and you get like 10% off your insurances
Yep.
Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
Yep.
It was cool. You went out there and did figure eights and the circles and all this stuff. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. It was,
Yeah.
Especially because when I took it, Chloe, there was I can't remember how old she was. Pretty older lady. I mean, she was out there just trotting it on this little 250 Rebel. Just it was
Nice.
I loved it. I was like, yes,
Yeah.
yes, good stuff. So then, obviously, you fell in love with the track.
Yeah.
And then when did you start being serious?
Well, my husband, when I started dating him, he wanted to race vintage bikes in Arma. And at the time, I had my CBR 600R for the track. I had one for street and one for track. And it wouldn't have been sustainable for me to race the 600 because I was just going through tires like crazy.
Yeah.
And so I never thought racing was going to be on my horizon ever. And I had gotten to like the advanced level, but I was like, advanced like in smoothness and consistency, and not so much speed at the time. And so I wrecked that really bad right in front of him after coming off 2 wrist breaks and not having like really good grip strength because it would go like in and out. And I was like, well, I'm going to show him how fast I am, because he had moved up pretty quickly, because he came from riding dirt and I came from like just doing road course stuff. So we kind of like, met in the middle, and I was like, oh, I'll do dirt and you do road course too. And so like I had been out all summer and he kept moving up and he got bumped to advance, and I'm like, shoot, I need to show him how fast I am. Yeah. I should have just stayed humble and just had fun instead of trying to show him how fast I was. And so I binned that bike, but sold it for pretty cheap and put all the street stuff back on. I was pretty honest, like, hey, this is what's wrong with it. Dude bought it off me, and I used that money to buy an RC390, which made it really sustainable for me to race. And so I raced that in Arma for a year before I got into the Royal Enfield program. And that bike taught me a lot. And I highly suggest anybody start on a small bike, even if people are like, oh, it has no balls, you outgrow it really quick. No, there's still a ton to learn on a small bike. And you're not in survival mode, you're in learning mode. Because I felt like when I was on the 750, it was always in survival mode. And then when I dropped on the 600, I got faster. When I got the RC 390, I was like faster than I'd ever been on the bigger bikes.
Yeah.
And it was less scary. So, and you don't have the throttle to mask your mistakes on the smaller bike. So you really have to learn how to carry the corner speed and be really smooth and have those nice wide arcs going through to straighten out the corners. So
Yep. Lorenzo style for sure, right? Jorge Lorenzo style.
yeah.
Yeah, it's speaking of, Jorge Lorenzo wants to say hello.
Hi, you want to say hello to me too?
Yeah, look. That's awesome. Look there, yeah. It's good stuff. I love it. Oh, so awesome. Yeah, you're right. You know, I try to tell a lot of people, man, listen, a big bike, if you really want to learn how to ride properly and fast, smaller bike, 300, 400,
Right.
and really get to know how to ride the bike, what it's telling you, the feel, body position, all that good stuff. And then once you're out riding a bike, then you step up, right?
Right.
Yeah. But it's hard because everybody's got an ego. I mean,
That's the biggest thing.
Yeah, I think it is.
You got to let go of the ego and just really find your inner Zen self of humble and make sure like you're clear in your head and your heart before you go out and ride. If you're mad or you're sad or like, just really got to like separate all those emotions so you can focus.
Yep. Zen. That's right. Absolutely. You know, it's you know, in our countries, in the UK, right? I agree with their rules as far as when you first learn how to ride a motorcycle, you got to start on a 50 for a couple of years, and it's a 250, right, for a couple of years. But by the time you get to an unlimited class, you got 8 years under your belt. You know, here, 16 years old, I can go out and buy me a V4R if I got $60,000, right, and just be like, look at me, right? And yeah, it's you're right, but I'm with you.
Yeah. I think the only thing that held me back from getting like a brand new motorcycle, or getting my like ultimate CBR 600R at the time was like I had to wait till I turned 25. Hey, Dan.
What's
Sorry,
happening?
I'm late.
It's okay, buddy.
It's been an absolute day. We'll just leave it at that. Sorry.
You're good, bro. You are good. Glad you're here.
We'll just leave it at that. All right, let's talk motorcycles. I don't want to do this. I don't want to be mad anymore.
That's awesome.
Oh.
Kylie, what is up? She says, "Hey, girl."
Hey.
That's awesome. So yeah, so from the 390, how did the whole Royal Enfield project come about?
So in 2020, like when we were all supposed to be like sitting at home, being good, like government little children.
Right. Right. Little
I was still at work every day. I don't want to hear it. I got told, guess what? You are essential. Thanks.
Oh, I was not essential. And I worked at a museum at the time, the Museum of Science and Industry in Chicago.
Yeah.
And so it was like March, really nice day in March. And I was like, let's go ride with our friends. And one of the guys, I'm going to butcher his last name. I'll just call him Flying Ryan because I can't say his last name. It's really crazy Polish last name. And so he was really big into Royal Enfield, and he was telling me about the flat track program they had. And he's like, hey, you're a girl. You like racing. You should try it. And I'm like, well, I don't really do flat track that much. I did like Danny Walker's super camp and learned a lot, but I was like, I can't. Those Royal Enfields are so heavy. I don't know how you just do flat track with them.
I can definitely attest to them being heavy. I picked them up at Barber after crashing. They crash really well.
Yeah, they do great. They do great, especially when you have the nice covers on the engine. Oh,
sucks picking them up though.
Yeah, they're pretty heavy.
Sorry, again, I apologize. I'm at my parents' house. I have a hard out in like 45 minutes because the trainer lives up the street from my parents' house. Sorry. It's been a day.
Yeah. So when they introduced the road race program, I signed up for it the first year and didn't get in. And I was kind of bummed because like when they showed the racing on Moto America, I was watching it and I'm like, what? like, why didn't I get picked? Like, I was like, I have a lot of experience. That was my downfall. I actually talked to Jen Muki and at the ladies' day at Groton, which was their first day on track after they built their bikes. And she saw me in the bathroom, and I was like, I saw her walking around like hoofing it all day at Groton. I don't know if you've been there, but it's pretty big and not really conducive for walking around. I was like, oh, what, they couldn't get you a scooter? She's like, well, I have the van. And I was just poking fun at that. And she's like, you're Chloe Peterson, right? Maiden name. And so I was like, oh, I don't know. Is she in trouble? She's like, no. She's like, I remember you from your entry video. We really liked you. And, but she's like, you had too much experience. We think you should apply again for the 2023 season. And I was like, okay, like, and I was like so glad she told me, because I had like so much like salt in my heart, just like watching those girls go around. I'm like, what the heck? She's like, yeah, we wanted girls who had no experience, never been on the track before. And I was like, oh, okay, that makes sense. I definitely didn't fit the bill for that.
Right.
And so she's like, but we're bringing those girls back. We want to bring on girls with experience, apply again. And so I applied again and I got in. And I mean, the main reason why I wanted to be a part of that program was because I never had the financial capabilities to get a brand new motorcycle and then buy all the cool, fancy jewelry to put on the bike. Right. But that gave me the ability to do it because I had some really good, awesome sponsors last year that basically paid for everything for me, including
awesome.
Royal Enfield. And
that's like going to Build-A-Bear with free range and all the good goodies, right? You're like, oh, yes, Build-A-Bear. I want the lightsaber. I want the double-bladed lightsaber.
Yeah, no one's, your aunt's not telling you, hey, you can't, you have to stay on this level. Don't get this expensive stuff.
Yeah. Oh my God, he said Build-A-Bear.
Yeah, like that, didn't you? That's good stuff.
Yeah, but I know, like I know how to ride on the track, and I like working on my motorcycles because it saves me money. I'm a cheapskate. But the more I know how my motorcycle works, the better I can ride it. Especially if you're out racing and then you hear something that's like, oh, what's that sound? Something doesn't sound right. Oh, it's just your shift lever dragging on the ground. You're in third gear. You can make it through the rest of the race. No big deal. And then if you hear like you drop a valve, oh, turn the bike off before it gets worse. Like you can kind of start hearing the differences and become more one with your motorcycle. And building the Royal Enfield was such a treat. A lot of blood, sweat, and tears, lots of tears and stress.
I bet.
But I mean, I learned a lot from my husband and then my dad, since he owns the auto body shop, and I got to do my ultimate paint scheme on there with the gold on the front and the lace pink and purple paint job on the back. Because I really like gassers and like Mexican lowrider kind of style stuff. So I was able to like get like the femininity into that motorcycle as well. Yeah, leather and lace, keep it spicy.
That's right. I like it. I like it. So where actually did you build this bike at? In your dad's garage or?
Mostly in my husband and I's house garage. Well, were we engaged at that time? Yeah, we were engaged at that time. So at his house. But yeah, in the garage, and it's super set up for building motorcycles. Like we've got machining capabilities. Right now we have a vapor honer in there, sanding machine, or like a sandblaster, all the tools you can think of basically. And then whatever we don't have, 2 blocks away is my dad's shop. So he's got all the paint stuff, and
you've got all the toys.
Yeah.
All of them.
All of them.
I have no excuse to like not be able to do something by myself, or at least learn.
Yeah. So when you say you guys built the motorcycle, what exactly did you do build wise on the motorcycles for all the listeners?
Yeah. So beginning, like they dropped off a demo bike. So it already had some miles on it. It was street trim, everything. So you basically had to take everything off that was street and then put on, let's start from the front and work the way to the back. like a brand new like Harris triples. That was mint jewelry.
Well, anything
Bling,
that
bling.
has Harris on it,
Yeah.
Right.
yeah, Harris. They,
Yeah.
they built MotoGP frames and chassis back in the 500 days. They know what they're doing.
Yeah, I think the parent company of Royal Enfield bought Harris, so that was like a big thing to work with them. And so with the Harris triples, we put the Olin's forks on there. Yeah, I got gold. Got to be as shiny as possible. And we had to send our hubs to W Wheels. They laced them to be 17s instead of, I think it was like the 1918 wheels. You got to make sure you get slicks on your bike.
Right.
And then we basically put clip-ons, rear sets, a different seat cowl on the back to get rid of like the passenger stuff because you don't want that extra weight.
Right.
And the S&S 2-in-1 exhaust sounds super good. Power commander, quick shifter. I put like Brembo master cylinder on there, adjustable clutch lever. That was a big stuff. And then my husband, since he was a welder by trade, we both work together for like a high net worth family. We take care of like professional and personal needs for them. And we helped start the Orange Cat race team.
Nice.
And he was a union pipe fitter. I was graphic designer, but now we do everything. We just make stuff happen. But I was like, you know what? I don't like this 2-pound stock gas cap on there. I was like, can you weld in a Vortex one? And he's like, yeah, let's do it. And then everybody else kind of did the same thing. But you know what? Mine didn't leak. And you know what? Thank you. Mine didn't leak.
That's awesome.
Well, it's a British bike. It's got to leak something once.
Right. Yeah.
I mean,
it wasn't too well. It's Indian bike.
It's Indian owned. It's made in It's made in England somewhere.
Right.
The electrics are a lot better than they were then.
Yeah. That was the majority of the parts that I remember at the time. I know there's like other little stuff we put in there, but I did get titanium stuff.
Did they let you open the motor up, or did you guys have to run stock motors?
We had to run stock motors. The funny thing is like some of us, like Kaylee, she was so fast at the beginning of the season. People were like, oh, or the fast girls. Like, I don't think necessarily I was accused of like doing motor work, but if I was, I take a great compliment to it because I didn't open up my motor, and I know Kaylee didn't. But that just means you're really good.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, there wasn't a lot of horsepower there, but it was still a fun bike. And since I come from riding junk mostly with blown out suspension, that bike taught me a lot. And like working with Meg Ryan and Olin's, I was able to learn a lot more about the feedback. It was just like touching the ice, like tip of the iceberg. But that was a good time learning like on legit stuff instead of like bouncing around and yeah.
I know the feeling.
Yeah. By the end of the season, like at the last race at Barber, that we had it so set up, and I was like, dang, this is the last race. But we ended up getting some of us to race against the Thruxtons in like an exhibition class in Arma. So that was good.
I had seen that they were letting you guys into race Thruxton Cup, and I'm like, that's going to open that class up a lot, because back in the day, that class was huge.
Yeah,
Thruxton Cup was like 35 bikes to a grid. It was Arma, so I mean, it was really laid back. And I was like, I'm sitting there looking at the rules just randomly, and I go, oh, they're letting the Royal Enfield guys in, the girls in. That's awesome. That'd be cool, because that class, honestly, in Arma, that class needs a little bit of a boost. But
it does.
It is what it is.
Yeah, there's a couple people that were like letting people use their bikes just to keep growing the class.
Yeah.
So it got a little bit of traction, but not as much as it could be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so throughout the season, did you actually have to maintain the bike, like change the oil and do all that too?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
that's the biggest thing is like you during the season, like at your races, well, partially through the season, we'll get back to the beginning of the season. If you basically, I lived closest to the Milwaukee warehouse, so I did bring my bike home one time and to use at local track days, and that got shut down really quick.
I mean, yeah.
She's like, I'm gonna sneak in here real quick.
I mean, I found there's a loophole, and I was going to take advantage of it, as
right.
you should. That's part of racing. It's a lifestyle,
Facts.
not just on the track.
Facts.
So I took it and used it for a couple of track days, private days, and whatever. But you know, if you crash it on, like when you're on your own, like, you got to take care of it. But during the races, like at Moto America, you'd have to change your own oil. We had to put, like, after a couple girls crashed. And I think Moto America wanted us to have engine covers on there, like those black plastic.
Yeah.
That saved a lot of us because you don't want to wear down those nice, pretty, sparkly covers.
Oh, no. The one that I picked up, this was the 2021 or whatever year that it rained all weekend.
Yeah, that was 2021.
Yeah, 21. Somebody crashed, and it sparks really nice.
Oh, yeah.
It was really pretty going down the hill, going into the hairpin.
Yeah.
But it was me and Jinky, the corner worker working with me. We looked at each other like, well, we got to go to work. We ran through, like, standing water and everything. And it's just like, oh, that's why it's like, oh, this bike's really heavy.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I mean, the GB Racing covers on those bikes that's a lifesaver. Oh, my God.
Yeah. They were really good. Because, I crashed pretty good at Road America in Canada.
You can do it there.
Yeah. I wanted to, make history like other people have crashed.
Right.
Well, I mean, depends on where you're crashing. Like, the reason it's called Canada Corner is the first guy that crashed anything there was Canadian. So
yeah, I could see that. It's minor low side, minor inconvenience there. And then it had just started raining again. It was a mixed conditions race. We were out there on our rains, but they declared it a dry race as soon as we went out there, but we're out there on rain. So we're like playing like Mario Kart, trying to hit every puddle to cool it down.
Yep.
And then, like, it's raining over in Canada Corner, but dry elsewhere. And I think I just, Kaylee and Crystal had just gotten ahead of me. So I was kind of getting some red mist. And I was like, no, got to get her back. But I think I hit that one extra little raindrop while trying to trail bike. I was like, that's not a good idea. And boop, on my butt, hit the curbing, and is like, had some pretty good bruises there. But I was able to ride the bike back to the pits. And it was, I didn't pick the bike up right away, even though I should have. But I was like, if I crashed, I don't trust anybody else. I don't want to have my back to them while I'm trying to pick up the bike. And I was like, you know what? Get out the way.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So. Absolutely. So we actually got a couple comments in here.
Mm-hmm.
My man Rick Glover, big shout out to Rick. So Rick Glover, he actually made our new logo.
Nice.
Our new Pendergast logo. Yeah, his son races Cooper in the SFL Mini GP, which I might have him on in the future. A lot of fun. But yeah, he says low horsepower bikes expose all your riding weaknesses.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Right. Absolutely. And then Jason Doss says, I'm 46, still racing a lightweight twin.
As you should be.
Proper.
There's guys in ARMA like Dave Roper.
Oh, yeah. I know Dave.
Like the Isle of Man TT. Like, I am such a fangirl over him. And every time I see him, I'm like, oh my gosh, this guy's so cool. He will punt you in the corner. I don't know how old he is, late 70s, 80s. But he'll kind of like hobble around, but he's on the bike, and you couldn't tell that he's that old. You could swear he's like early 20s.
There's a guy that lives here in Nashville, Charlie Southgate. This dude was in the original On Any Sunday, racing flat track.
Nice.
This old coot is 85 years old, still racing flat track on a 450. Best machinist in the city, by the way, for motorcycles. His shop, he has the oldest motorcycle shop in the state. It started in like 1912 with his grandfather. It's a shack. Literally, it's a shack next to an old Radio Shack. almost under a train bridge in East Nashville, where
Oh,
where me and Jelly Roll are from. Like, it's wild. Like, it is literally, it looks like a barn that's about to fall over. But he's got, you walk in there, it's just like a path that's this big. That's how I love these old guys that still race. They're my favorite. Like, again, there's a path in the shop that's about that wide. You can walk down, and it's just parts and frames and original stuff. He's got an original road race fairing for a 750 Kawasaki H2 triple.
Nice.
Oh, dude, this fairing, if he dug it out from under the porch and he cleaned it up, it'd be worth 10 grand.
Maybe you should make a mold of it so that way
you can't get it. You can't find it because it's up under the porch somewhere. Like, all the parts that are in there, like, you walk in there, you're like, how do you find? Like, it's just like anybody else. He knows where everything is, but it's like that's. But you're like, what the? I'm leaving. I can't handle this right now. But now that old coot is 85 years old. He was the grand marshal at a local vintage fest, like flat track we had here, and that old dude, like, still killing it.
Nice.
Still killing it.
That's awesome. That's good stuff. And
oh yeah.
That's I love stories like that. And Kevin says,
hey,
"Shake
Kevin,
and
what's
bake."
up?
What is up, man? Yeah. And then my man Nick, what is going on, Nick?
Yeah, what up,
Ryan,
Nick?
dude,
Nick's one of my best friends, along with Dave Vaughn. Love those guys. They were my mechanics. If it wasn't for Nick, I wouldn't have met Jeremy, my husband. And they're
sounds like you owe Nick some money.
yeah.
I mean, is that a beer at least?
Right. I was gonna say at least a beer or a shot or two, right? Yeah. So funny because I actually met Nick and the other two guys. I can't remember their names.
Dave
in Jersey. Yes. Yeah. And that's how that's how I got this right here, right? Yeah. So yeah, Nick's awesome. He really is. And then Trevor says in Daniel's case, it's going to frozen yogurt place where you can load up on toppings.
Pretty much. Trevor knows. Trevor knows.
What is up, Trevor? Yeah.
Trevor knows.
And then Kylie says,
"Oh,
you're like really pretty."
Well, I know she's not. Well, she's not talking to me or you, Chris. I know that.
I think he's talking to Dan. No.
Yeah.
I mean, my hair, like the hair's not half bad, but the beard, I've got gray in the beard, and it's just it's not pretty. It's not good.
That's awesome. And then Chris says, "This is awesome. We need more programs like this for racers." Yeah,
what
absolutely.
up, Chris?
Yeah. What's going
Chris
on, man?
Chris rips. Like, Chris rips. Like, Chris is real fast.
Nice.
Chris comes and rides with us at Bowling Green.
Does he?
Oh yeah, Chris is quick. Chris is real quick.
Nice. And then Jessica Martin says, "Good times." And then my favorite time was that race weekend.
Oh, I wonder which one it was. Barbara. Oh no, the Arma one. I know what she's talking about. Jessica
Vintage
was
Fest.
in BTR with me too, and I'm so just in awe of her riding style. She's so smooth. She can get through traffic way better than I can, and I could totally tell during that Arma weekend, she was faster than me getting through the traffic, the Thruxtons. And I was struggling. She had a lot more balls than I did. Well, and I had been up front the majority of the season with the BTR girls, so I didn't really practice like working through traffic.
Right.
And she was way better at working through traffic because she was like fast but mid pack a lot. And watching her, I was like, I'm learning a lot watching Jessica.
Yeah, that was awesome. I loved watching that Royal Enfield. It was great program.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, it really is. And then Steve Grigg, what is up? He says, "Let's go." Right. And then he says, "Chris is out of wall space. Click here to purchase more wall space."
Oh, show him the ceiling. Show him your ceiling.
Yeah. Look, I even started on the ceiling, everybody. Look, right there.
My God.
I got one up right there so far.
Dude, I've got so
more.
many posters I'm going to have to send you that I'm not using. Oh, my God. Like,
That's hilarious. Yeah, everybody already knows that. See my background. Yeah, I love motorcycles. I'm a fan of everybody. I mean, let's just be honest, right? So yeah, that's hilarious. But listen, so the whole BTR, and then obviously you mentioned a little bit how you met Jeremy through Nick, right? So tell us that story.
No, we're not going to obviously tell that story because there was a. This sounds like it's the start of a really good sitcom, is what it sounds like.
Yeah. I mean, technically, I was there with another guy the weekend that I met Jeremy. Stefan Dolivsky, you're such a sweetheart, so sweet. You're going to give me cavity. And we were kind of dating. It didn't really work out, but like I met Jeremy. Okay, rewind. Stefan invited me to go ride ice in Wisconsin on some random lake. I think it's called Smith Lake near West Bend. And so Stefan invited me, Nick invited Jeremy, and I'm like south suburbs of Chicago typically. So we were like, felt like 5 hours north of like where I live. And I didn't have a bike and Jeremy didn't have a bike. I didn't know who he was. It was, I don't know, -5 degrees outside. Who knows? It was like the CCS banquet weekend. It was before I started racing. And so I was just like, oh, I'll go up there and hang out with people I know. And Jeremy's standing on the sideline. I'm standing on the sideline. We're waiting for people to like let us borrow bikes to go ride. And we're talking. Everything he's saying is sounding familiar. And I'm like, where the hell do you live? And he's like, oh, a town south suburbs in Chicago you'd never hear of. And I was like, okay, yeah, me too. Where the hell do you live? Oh, Stager. What? I live in Stager. Like, how don't I know you? But it turns out our families knew of each other. And like his brother wanted my dad to paint one of his cars and like all this other stuff. And like we were in a lot of the same places, like car shows, whatever, but we never met each other.
Right.
And it's probably a good thing we didn't meet each other earlier because like he looks at my senior picture in the yearbook and he's like, oh, you look like a goody two-shoe bitch. And I was like, you look like a punk ass.
I love it.
I continue my previous statement. This is the start of a sitcom.
Yeah, this is good. I love it.
It's the start of a Tom Hanks and Meg Ryan movie.
Yeah.
Take your pick.
Yeah, so I was like goody two-shoes forever while he went through his bad boy phase. And then he's like, you know what, wifey material now, that's what I want. And no more fun red flag girls. We'll go for the normal girl.
Right.
No. Stop.
No more farmers.com.
Normal women don't exist. It's like men that aren't assholes. Okay. Normal women don't exist. Men that aren't assholes don't exist either. Okay.
I'm not normal. I race, so that means I have a couple screws loose. Jeremy's the perfect amount of asshole to like keep me like he's not a pushover. I don't like guys that are pushovers. You got to keep like if I'm out of line with something like or like my opinion on something's bad, like let me know. Like be honest with each other.
Got to.
So,
sure.
But again, I say that jokingly, but it's true.
Yeah. Yeah. So more towards like fall. Like Jeremy was always kind of in the background of mutual friends. But like I was like, see this stuff out with Stefan. Like he's a cool dude. He's like awesome to hang around with. But I was like, I don't see this being my like the end all thing. Like, so it's like got out of that because I have like an ultimate man criteria list. And like I was like, I've been through so many long-term relationships that I don't want to like be with the wrong person. Everybody should be with the right person or be by themselves, like whatever makes you happy. And so I was like, I can't do it. But so then I started like talking to Jeremy more, and we had a lot of fun hanging out. And I'd gotten a dirt bike at the time, so he rode dirt bikes, and so we started hanging out more. And I was like, dude, this dude's pretty cool. And guess what? He scores 101% on my ultimate man criteria list with a little bit of extra credit in there. So I'll date him. And then we got engaged and then married. So
there you go. Yeah. There we go. Good
nice. Look, I was laughing, Chloe, because Greg said, "Can we get back to motorcycles?" That's why I was laughing. I was over here cracking up.
Greg races an Arma, and him and Jeremy get like bust each other's balls all the time. Greg's awesome. Really fast racer. He races some really cool vintage bikes, and it's awesome to see him out there racing, especially on the Thruxton. He's
That's
fast.
good stuff, man. Dude,
My bike
Greg,
qualifies as
bro,
finish now.
thank you for watching, dude. That was awesome. You had me crying laughing over here, bro. Oh, that's so good. I love it. So okay, so BTR. So how did Orange Cat come about? How did that whole?
So, my big personal sponsor from my Royal Enfield days, he was like helping sponsor Ezra Bobier on Motorsport Exotica team, but I met him because my big personal sponsor, Andrew. Thank you, Andrew. I really appreciate you. You've done so much for me and Jeremy and so many of my friends like Nick and Dave. Really appreciate you super much. You're probably not watching right now. You'll catch up on this later. And so he really helped me out during my Royal Enfield time, but I had met him during like an STT track day because we both had RC390s. And I'm very like modest person when I'm trying to learn a new bike and a new track. So I was at Blackhawk and still new to the RC390 and didn't feel like I should have been riding in advanced but they're like, I got yelled at so many times by SCT coaches, Chloe, you're an advanced rider. You need to ride in advanced, like get out of the meat grinder group and learn. And so I was riding with Andrew and Garrett. They're both on RC390s. We're having a lot of fun. And rewind. This is the funny part. So the SCT coach was like, "Oh, Chloe, go meet Andrew and Garrett. You go ride with them. You guys got similar bikes." I meet them. They're like, "Oh yeah, we'll give you a tow. Yeah, have fun." And like a couple laps goes by, and I'm following them. I'm like, "Bye." And so I passed them, and Andrew thought it was really cool because like we kept pushing each other, and so we rode a lot together and like upcoming track days. And I didn't know who he was at the time, but he helped me out a lot. And fast forward to like the end of like the BTR season, he was kind of like pushing Jeremy and I like, oh, like we should see how much we can develop Chloe for like Twins Cup. And I was like, whew, that's going to be a big jump, but I can't turn down the opportunity. This is like the best opportunity to like push myself beyond the limits that I could comprehend. And we'll get more to that later. But he's like, I see how well you and Jeremy were together for like taking care of your bikes and running your own program for like Arma. He's like, I want to hire you both to help me start Orange Cat. And there's like some other people that helped start the team as well. But yeah, we started with nothing. Like we got hired in December, and basically January, February, March, like we had to procure the bikes. Like Jeremy went to Germany to learn how to work on the M1000R. And like he just like finished being a pipe fitter, and he's getting total new career change.
Right.
And so he's like, oh, this is awesome. But we didn't have the toter, we didn't have the stacker, we didn't have the tools, the parts. Like we had to learn how to import things. And it was an awesome career change in the fact that I had to learn so much, and there's so much I can add to my resume now besides being a graphic designer, like all kinds of things. But yeah, we started the race team and added on some really great people, and it's been a whirlwind this past year.
Yeah. I remember seeing because I'm part of a crew for a stock 1000 team as well. And we were at Road Atlanta, and I saw you guys rolling out. I'm like, oh, new team. And I looked up and saw who was on there. I was like, oh, y'all are going to be a problem. Okay.
Yeah,
I saw the rider list, and I went, oh, you've got Ezra and Caleb, and you're on M1000s.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was like,
that was the big thing.
Whatever.
Like Andrew likes to be very discreet about things, which is a blessing and a curse because it's really tough for me to keep secrets. And so we had to ride under the radar hardcore. Like our testing bikes didn't have anything on it because we didn't want anybody to know who we were. we wanted to make sure our operations was running very smoothly. And that was the big focus, was making sure, like, don't be all about the show before you, like, we got to make sure we have the go.
Yeah.
And it was very interesting because we basically all, like, the racers moved out to Vegas for like 6 weeks before going out to Road Atlanta. Did a lot of testing out there. Those guys, like Caleb, was like a fish to water with the M1000R. I was behind the 8 ball, which was mental health, like beat me down mentally, like beat myself down mentally. I'm very tough on myself, but like the first time I rode the R7, like, and I struggled with telling people how the bike was running or like how the suspension was, because I was like, I'm so new to like all this stuff, and I'm against people that have been doing it for years and they're kicking butt. But I've learned a lot, and I would do my program a little bit differently if I were to do it again. But yeah, the first couple times I rode and I was like, oh, this is what the fast guys are doing at this track. I was like, I am nowhere near qualifying if this was like Moto America stuff. But I worked really hard, and like any basically waking moment outside of work and like off the track, I was like researching what I could do, or like, I don't know if you're familiar with Ed Key, but my friend Kevin, who was like very good, like with helping coach me this year, because he's like the lightweight god at Blackhawk, like nobody his time. So he was very instrumental in like helping me progress this year. But he gave me like Ed Key's suspension guide, and it was able to distill that down into like a 1-page sheet, like a cheat sheet, and be like, okay, well, if I'm running wide, this is what we maybe need to do to adjust the suspension. But it was just like right there, so that way like Jeremy and I could refer to it, because Jeremy was my pit crew chief this year, and we both agree that he probably shouldn't have been my pit crew chief, because like I probably would have been more successful in the season if we would have had somebody that was like a little bit more experienced, like saying like, okay, this is what needs to change. Because Jeremy and I were like freshly married, brand new coworkers, and he's my pit crew chief and my mechanic. Like, we're doing this whole new career change. We're moving places. It was a lot.
Yeah.
But we definitely learned a lot together, and there's still a lot to learn in racing. There's people write books about it all the time, but if you can read as much as you want, but you got to go out there and do it. And trying to race at the pro level is next level stuff. But you know, each time I would get out there, I'd progress, and it was cool to see like it was good to see progression every time and not regression. So that helped me, but I didn't qualify for any of my races this year. The closest I got to qualifying was Barber as a provisional. I could have got in, but I missed that by 0.4 of a second. And the bike still wasn't set up right. Yeah. But now it's like, okay, if I were to actually like go back to Barber, if I were to do it this year, I think I could do it, because I've learned a lot since then. And then towards the end of the year, I got data on my bike, so potentiometers on the suspension, which helps a ton with like reiterating what I'm feeling on the bike. Or you'll see in the data that it's like going like this, and they're like, Chloe, are you feeling this in the front when you're going through turn 3 at New Jersey? You're getting like a bunch of chatter. I'm like, yeah, that sucked. Like, how can we fix that?
You don't. Trust me. Trust me on that bike. You don't fix that.
Right. Yeah, there would be like a little kicker I'd hit, and they'd be like, the front wheel would come up, and I'm like, oh, okay, put it down.
Oh, yeah, no, trust me. The front end chatter on the MT-07 and R7, yeah, nobody's figured out how they fix that yet. I've had more conversations with people riding R7s and the Yamaha frame itself, because they just couldn't figure it out. Nobody's figured it out yet. Yeah,
Caleb was very helpful, and then like Gene Bertram and Hayden Schultz, like they were very, very helpful. Like Gene actually built my race bike, because we were kind of short on time, and he had one kind of sitting around. We're like, we're buying that off you. And Gene, you build like really good motors. You gave me a podium.
Yay, Gene!
Yeah, Gene. He gave me a podium-worthy bike, so I just had to work on what was between here.
Yeah.
And so I had no excuse.
No excuse. So Joe, real quick, he says, "What's up, Chloe?
Joe!
24? No, we can't.
No.
No.
No, I'll probably be focusing on my supermoto in Arma. And
Supermoto.
we're building a KZ 650. Well, for me to race in Arma as well. I raced Jeremy's in heavyweight at Arma this year because he busted his little ankle up, and so he couldn't race. So he's like, Chloe, you should race my KZ. And I actually did pretty well on his KZ, like for the first time really riding it at its current like development level. And I had a ton of fun on it. So we currently have no bikes in the garage with clip-ons. They're all superbike stuff, which is interesting because I was so hardcore on the clip-ons. But yeah, superbike bars give you so much more leverage.
Right.
And you can be a little bit more lazy. You shouldn't be lazy while you race, but like,
no. I instruct on a naked bike. You're lazy. There's no way getting around it. You're gonna be lazy. It's okay.
Yeah. But the KZ was a ton of fun.
Yeah.
KZs, yeah, they are. And then Diane, my Chloe, yes, I love Diane. Actually, we met in what year was that? Diane, was it 2018? Me, you.
Oh God, Diane has seen me around the paddock since 2005. Diane has known me since I was a puppy.
That's awesome. She's awesome. I love Diane. She's
she's like
the queen of racing.
She's queen of the paddock.
Yeah, queen of the paddock.
She's like a fairy godmother. She comes around and gives you a hug, and there's a couple times I've like cried in her shoulder before, and it's just like so happy when she's there.
Joe, I want to take a session on your 660. Since he's commenting on it, he can hear it. I want to ride your 660.
There you go, Joe. 660.
Real bad.
And then Diane says, yes, of course, Diane, of course. So 2023, let me ask you this, Chloe. What do you think your strongest point racing a motorcycle is? Is it your braking or turning? Or
definitely not braking. People call me a modest breaker. That's my big weakness. And I think we'll go back to the strengths, but like I think my big thing I need to work on for 2024 is braking. But the California Superbike School, like you use your wide view vision. I really need to focus on like looking where I'm going instead of like looking for my brake marker. It needs to just be in the peripheral. Because I was actually trying that at Homestead a couple weeks ago. I got to ride a Kramer for the first time, like brand new, never ridden Kramer.
Was it an 890 or was it a single?
The single. So
doesn't matter.
It was such an incredible bike to ride. But I was like, you know what? New bike, new track. Whenever I go with like new bike or new track, especially new track, it really helps me like, okay, just focus on like learning the track and like what do you got to work on. Make sure every session you go out with a goal of like what are you working on. So it was good. But yeah, using your wide view vision and like making sure you're not getting that tunnel vision of like, oh crap, I'm coming into the corner. It was good. So 2024, I'm going to become the best breaker. That's the goal.
Top rack. You're going to be better than Top Rack, right?
I'll shoot a little bit lower. Maybe a Cam Peterson.
Maybe a Cam. I love it. That's good stuff. And then Tim says, go,
hey,
Chloe,
Tim.
go. Yeah, absolutely.
He races in Armo as well.
Oh, nice.
He's such a cool dude. I told him I wanted to race like a little bike, like one of those like CB, our laundry room bike, like the CB 175s. But he's like, no, Chloe, you need to just race this little 2-stroke. Like one of those ones you could basically like, if you stall it at the start, you can just like pick it up.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I didn't take the offer. I want to take it like not at Arma Vintage Days, like at Barber. That would have been a little much. I want to do it at a little low key time.
Go to Talladega and do it.
Yeah. Talladega is like small and forgiving and like tons of traction. If you low side there, you get a new hobby.
Yeah. No, if you low, depending on where you low side, you have to go. They play Marco Polo, where you come out if you go out in the cornfield. the Wookiee's not going to be able to find you.
No. And I don't think you want to go off and turn one because isn't there like a baby grave out there?
No. It's not a baby grave. That's Miss Mary.
Who's
That's
Miss Mary. I love it. He's like, no.
That's Miss Mary. But if you go off turn one, there's only one other thing. It's one or two. You need a Dixie horn on the bike because you're Dukes of Hazzarding yourself because it's a big it's banked. And then one, if you keep going, there's the creek and you have to fish your bike and you out of the creek, or you end up back by the railroad tracks where if it's dove season, you've got the guys in the field on the other side of the railroad tracks hunting doves.
I'll wear my orange suit.
Right, my orange shirt's coming on.
I have corner worked out there in turn 2 and turn 4, and I've heard stuff like rounds bouncing off the train. I'm sitting going, tink, tink. I'm like, what in the hell is going on? And I go, oh, it's dove season. That explains it. I'm going to come back over here now. Get a little bit further away.
Right. I'm no dove.
Yeah, I'm no dove, and I'm not trying to get. Oof.
But you're flying.
That was a weird one. But the fun thing about Talladega is once the track shuts down, nobody cares. You can do whatever you want.
Really?
I may or may not have sent a propane tank 55 feet in the air.
Oh, what?
What?
So, I was like, I'll just light it. It'll just burn off real slow. Yeah, it wasn't completely done yet.
Oh, boy.
Poof. Oh, God, don't hit anything. Poof. Hit the grass. I'm going to bed.
Yeah. I'm out of here.
I'm going to bed. Luckily, the statute of limitations of that story are over, so it's okay.
That's awesome.
It's more than 10 years ago. It's fine. So, yeah. There's a lot of things we used to get up to at Talladega.
Sounds like fun. That's what it sounds like. A good time.
Like you can go down there and play redneck for free. It's a great time.
I love it. Redneck for free.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Oh,
Joe, I'm sorry. Joe said try, but no sound. See at Roebling, Chloe.
Oh, Joe's cool. He races one of those side shift. I think it's an Indian.
Oh, nice.
That's too much work.
But it looks cool.
Yeah,
it
does.
I'm not saying it doesn't look awesome, but that's like my ADD brain kicks in. It's like, what am I look, I'm going to just get up, stand here, rub my head, and pat my stomach at the same time. That's about all I got for you.
That's good stuff. That's good.
All right. I love y'all. I got to go. We'll see y'all later.
All right,
See
buddy.
ya.
See you, bro. Appreciate you.
Love you. Love you.
Love you too, man. All right. Yeah, dude. Yeah, Daniel's awesome. He's a trip. He really is. Trevor Watson says Tally has zero traction. That place is abandoned fairground. With sideshows still going on, right? And then Paul McKee dodged a 7-foot corn snake on the backstretch at Little Tally. Ooh. Yeah, that's one thing. Do you like snakes, Chloe?
I don't mind them. Actually, like hunting, I have like a lot of bucket list hunting trips. I've never been hunting before, but a lot of invasive species hunting I want to do. And I want to go to the Everglades and get the pythons and boa constrictors and just like walk out of there like Britney Spears on stage. Like, look what I just got.
Look what I got. Yeah, this trophy. That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, look, 2023, how would you rate your year in 2023?
I mean, every year should be a 10. You should only be getting better.
I'd have gave you a 12, but that's just me.
It was definitely like we'll rate it in a 10 of year of growth and learning to appreciate the journey and each step that you take on that journey and being kind to yourself, especially when you're trying to achieve a big goal. And I knew trying to do Twins Cup was going to be really freaking tough, and it was. Yeah. But I learned a lot. And the beginning of the year, like when we were doing preseason testing, was probably the toughest for me mentally, because like I would just beat myself up. Like you wake up at 3 a.m. and the inner bitch is like, you suck, and I'm like, what are you doing? Get away, like get out of here. But you need to stop viewing things as a failure and know that you're like progressing. I wasn't appreciating the progression for a long time until towards the end of this, or like Road Atlanta, I was like, you know what? You need to let all this go because you ride best when you're happy. And like, you just like pretend like it's a track day, pretend like it's an armor race, low key, go out there, you're front row to like watching these awesome people go fast on the bike that you're on. And so you have no excuse. Like, just go out there, learn, and push yourself. Just be in that continual lens of improvement. So we'll say a 10, but it was a very rough year. It was because like not only am I doing like a giant like career change, but then trying to do Twins Cup was very, very tough. But you know what? You grow when you push yourself through your uncomfortable boundaries, and my boundaries are really big now.
That's right. That's good. That's good. Yeah. I mean, and you learned a lot about yourself too, mentally too, right? Yeah. How mentally tough you really are, right? So let me ask you this. I think you did an amazing job all year. Thanks. By the way, you're welcome. How do you prepare for a race, right? Do you have any like rituals? From Nolan Lampkin turned me on to wearing your socks inside out, right? And I was like, wear your socks inside out. He's like, yeah, because of the seams. You never notice how when you put it on, it bothers your toe, and sometimes you gotta take your shoe off. And I was like, absolutely, I do. So since then, I've been wearing my socks inside out, and it's brilliant, right? So did you have any things like left boot on first?
Oh no. I mean, it was just like you put your clothes on the way you normally do. And my biggest thing for me was like, it wasn't really like the day of is starting for the race, but like a week leading up to the race, I wouldn't drink alcohol, like make sure I'm eating clean. And like, I was very fortunate that like our team paid for like personal trainer. So I got like the most fit I ever did, like ever. And so it's just like making sure I'm exercising and like in like a good headspace. And like karma is number one. I feel like anybody who like has bad karma always crashes the track. Even though I crashed 3 times this year, I swear it wasn't bad karma. It was just minor inconvenience, mistake. But it's it's just like each day is just like preparing mentally for it and like watching some YouTube videos if I don't know the track. But when I get to the track and I'm going to race, like, the biggest thing is just don't like, if like people see me like getting like kind of like, oh crap, like you just need to be like light and airy. And it wouldn't put like headphones on, like usually like right before, like 30 minutes before I go out, that's when I'm kind of like, by myself or like with my team, like kind of like away from everybody else. And then I'll sit and close my eyes and like do one good lap in my head, or like know what areas I need to focus on and like figure out like, okay, like this is the point where I'm going to turn in. This is the next point, like, and just go through. And if I don't really realize, they're like if I don't have good reference points in my head, or like something's kind of blank or hazy, it's like, okay, what can I improve upon there? And just go out there and say, oh, it's no big deal. Let's just go out there and have fun. Because I don't ride good when I'm stressed or rushed, or it's just chill.
Yeah, that's good. I don't think anybody does. It's better to be chill. So you don't listen to like any music at all, just to try to help you get in that mode or nothing? No.
Yeah, if there's music playing in the background, cool. But just
if not, yeah. I
just like to hear the motorcycles that are going around the track at that time.
Yeah, a lot of my friends have those little what you call it, the little side things on your helmets on the street, so they can talk back and forth. And look, I got one. It's brand new. It's still in the box, and I've had it for probably 8 months. No bullshit. Never even put it on, right? Because listen, I love to hear the sound of my motorcycle. That's part of it, right? I love to hear her talk. Let's have a conversation. I don't want to be listening to Kid Rock or Van Halen or anything. Don't get me wrong. I like to listen to it, but when I'm riding, it's yeah. I don't like to at all. But Rick Glover, he says we have a motard class in every round in the SFL Mini GP. Come out and play if you make it down to Florida. Yeah. So
I'm going back to Miami next week, but I won't have my supermoto with me. We'll just have
you don't need it. Chloe, you don't need it. So listen, I'm Michael Carrere, Rick Glover, Juju, his son. He races in the British Talent Cup. I'm a big supporter of
Nice.
the whole SFL Mini GP. Their program is outstanding. I wish Moto America would actually work with them because they provide they provide everything: bikes, leathers, boots, gloves, helmets, everything. You just register, pay a fee. First time over a bike, no problem. You ever want to learn how to drag your knee at 6, 7 years old? No problem. At 50 years old, no problem. Right?
Nice.
You just show up and dude, they are wonderful people, and I love every single one of them. Such a great people. If you ever have the opportunity, yeah, you should for sure.
Well, I'll be at Homestead on the 2nd, I think, and then I don't have anything going on next weekend. If you guys got anything going on.
There you go, Rick. You guys got anything going on next week in SFL Mini? And then Peter, what is up, Peter?
Hey, Peter.
Yeah, he's awesome.
South Florida sidecars guy. That's the main reason why I got into racing, was so I could do sidecar stuff. I just like being the co-pilot, and
I was we had this conversation. I was gonna get into it. Yeah, for sure. So Peter's awesome. Yes, and I can't wait to have a chat with him. But them sidecars, me and Chloe had this conversation. Like, to me, the Isle of Man TT, everybody knows my favorite race of the year. But the sidecar people, to me, are the most out there out of all of them. We'll just say that, right? It's not the driver, it's the monkey in the side of it that I'm just like, it amazes me all the time, right? It's fucking proper. Let's just be honest, right?
Yeah.
It's so tell us about that. Oh, real quick before you do that, Rick says next round is February 10th, he believes.
Oh, I won't be there that weekend. Oh, February 10th. I don't know when I'll be back. Catch me on going to them DMs. Let's talk about this later.
There you go. There you go.
So sidecar stuff. When my dad started learning how to use a computer, and like you had fast enough internet to access YouTube, we would share sidecar videos from the Isle of Man TT or wherever in Europe, and we're like, these guys are nuts. We got to go see this one day. So in 2015, after I did my first track day, the following weekend we went to the Isle of Man. My dad and I, like, best daddy-daughter trip ever. And we went during practice week because it was cheaper and you get to see more stuff on track. This is how much cheaper it is. So our room was like, I don't know, $250 a night. If you stay during race week, it was $600 a night.
All right, yeah. I'm only going for practice week. Thanks.
Yeah,
it's on my bucket list.
Yeah. But we went to the Isle of Man to basically watch the sidecars race, and it was awesome. And it's a pilgrimage I feel like everybody needs to make. Yes. Granted, it was 2015. I think between my dad and I, and we didn't do it the cheapest way. Like, we took an airplane from Manchester to the island. I think we spent about $5,000 to $6,000 between the two of us.
Yeah. That sounds about right.
Yeah. But you can do that trip a lot cheaper if you want to camp, or there's like cheaper transportation. Like, we had a bus pass to get around, and that was the best way because you could have your beer, a pint at the pub, and
my fish and my chips.
Yeah,
damn right.
Get a BAP, it's
right,
like a sandwich, and the town of Peel, where they made the Peel car. That island was just so majestic. Even if you weren't there during the Isle of Man TT, there's so much to do there, and so beautiful, and there's so much history.
Yep.
I mean, Europe's weird because every town has like a castle, so it's just so weird. No grid streets, everything's all kind of crazy, so you're gonna get lost, but you're gonna find something cool.
Right, along the way, for sure.
Yeah. And everybody's got to go to the Isle of Man. If you love racing, you got to go there at some point. And definitely during the off season, when it's not the TT or like the classic, it's way cheap to go there. But I definitely want to go back to the classic. Bucket list thing would be to race like sidecars at the classic. That's on the bucket list. So if anybody wants to help me do that, totally down. My husband's a really good sidecar driver. We're a good team together. So help me make that happen.
Yeah, right. Please, yes.
Please.
That would be so awesome. I mean, I can't say I'm not jealous. I already said that. It's because
gotta go.
I will. It's my favorite. I subscribe before they come out with the TT app, which is only $25. Everybody, I mean, it's the best $25 you spend all year. Of course, I bought them. If I didn't catch them live, I always went to Duke.com, bought the DVD, put it in and just glued to the TV, right? It's magical. I feel the same about Cadwell Park. Cadwell Park's my favorite track in the world. That mountain jump is just the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. When you see them jump and launch it, you're like, holy shit, right?
Yeah.
But yes, I'm jealous. Sidecars. I would love to ride in one.
Yeah, I mean, if you come to an ARMA event, that's basically the only place you can get on a sidecar. I think Azra has opened up a sidecar class, but we'll see how that goes, who actually shows up.
Right.
But it would be cool if it became a bigger thing in America. But it's tough because you can't go to a normal track day with a sidecar. You can't run that at the same time as a two-wheel motorcycle. So it's tough to grow the sport when you don't really have a lot of people in that particular niche.
Which is a very small niche at that.
Yeah, and it's a little bit more expensive and harder to come by for parts because you're having to like import stuff usually or make it yourself. But hopefully it grows here.
Yeah,
it would be really cool.
Listen, if nobody's ever seen it, I suggest you right now get on YouTube. Forget this podcast. You can watch it later. You catch it on Spotify tomorrow. You come right back, right? As soon as it ends, you go right back and watch it live. I mean, not live, but rewatch it. But dude, go to YouTube seriously and check it out because it's you'd be like, holy shit, these guys and girls are just plumb nuts. Actually, speaking of that, Chloe, of the sidecars, I talked to Fiona Baker Holden. She races out there in Europe and on the sidecars, and I'm gonna get her on the podcast. It's gonna be awesome.
Oh, I can't wait to listen to that one.
Yeah, dude, because she actually races at the Isle of Man on that. It's like, yes, good stuff. Yeah. So, listen, Supermoto, I can't wait to hear all the stories. I know it's going to be a whole lot of fun on the Supermoto, right? It's going to be good stuff. But I want to get away from all the motorcycles for a little bit and talk about what you do to relax and all that. So, what is your spirit animal?
I like cows. I mean, my ear is a cow.
I know. I seen that. Yeah, that's awesome. My wife does too. She's a big cow.
This sounds really bad, but they're cute and delicious. And they also protect you, like with their leather. And they're so chill. And they're like baby cows are super cute. Like my friends who are like know me pretty well will send me like cute cow videos, and I want one of those little mini moos so bad.
I know they're cute. They are, and obviously you see them all the time, and they always say when I see a cow is eat more chicken.
Yeah, I mean Chick-fil-A, go there.
Right, eat more chicken. Right. So we actually have a question from Kevin.
Hey Kevin.
He said, "What did BTR help the most to prepare you for the next level? And what has been the biggest learning curve once there?" Great question.
So BTR really helped me in the fact that usually women and men race differently. And women are a little bit more strategic about how they pass, or they're a little bit more smooth, predictable. And so towards the beginning of the season, I was seeing like the majority of the girls on the team were the same way I raced. And I was like, ooh, if the only way for me to progress is kind of channel a little bit of testosterone and figure out how to like change my mindset. So I think the mindset change of, you know what, hey, if you like be a little ballsy, so show somebody a wheel going into a corner, pass on the brakes and take the inside line. even though it might not be the fastest line getting out of there, but like, hey, you put the passing on the brakes was my biggest thing I learned. And thanks to Superbike school, I did like 4 days in a row of Superbike school at Pittsburgh, and taught me a lot. And they did some drills with me that they don't typically do with other students, and because they knew I was there for learning how to race better.
Right.
And yeah, getting the confidence to pass on the brakes and not have that tunnel vision and just like look to where you want to go, game changer. And that definitely helped a lot during the race, especially at New Jersey and at Barber, the last 2 races. But yeah, just you got to kind of race like a guy when you're racing with a bunch of girls.
You got to send it.
Yeah, you got to send it a little bit further.
Yeah, you just got to send it. That's good stuff. Just send it. That's what I always tell everybody. Just let it be. Yeah, it's good stuff. Good stuff, Chloe. All right, so favorite movie, Chloe. Well, what's Chloe's favorite movie?
The Barbie movie currently.
Hey, that's good. I've never seen it. Never seen it.
It's good. If you hate Barbie, it's going to be good. If you love Barbie, it's going to be good. Barbie's the movie's very self-aware.
Are you getting paid for this?
Oh no, no, not at all. But it's funny. Like the Barbie, all the Barbies and Kens kind of makes fun of themselves, and there's a little bit of like women empowerment stuff. I'm not like a total feminist, like, but you know, like everybody should be like nice to each other. But like it's a good overall movie. And I went to go see it with my mom at the theaters. I think that was the first movie I'd seen at the theaters since 2020, like when they shut everything down.
Yeah.
And it was good to see with my mom. It was good mommy daughter bonding time. Yeah,
good stuff. Good. Peter said we just watched it, right? I'm gonna have to watch it. Yeah, it's Yeah, so did you watch Star Wars or Star Trek or anything?
I'm more a Star Wars girl, especially like I love Mandalorian.
Me too. Yeah.
Like the Disney Plus ones are pretty good. And
yeah.
How do you say it? Ahsoka, the recent one. That one was
that's good.
Cool to watch. I think Mandalorian, like that recent show, was my favorite. But I'm not really like so much of a sci-fi person. I'm more of like comedy. That's more my jam.
Who's your favorite comedian stand-up?
Oh, I know I should say BT.
Right? Yeah. BT is my favorite. Are you listening, BT? I'm surprised he ain't texting right now. You better say me.
Yeah. I don't know. It's tough for like favorite. For a while there was Bill Burr, but I miss pre-woke days when like everybody could poke fun at everybody. And like if people make fun of me, I'm gonna roll with it. Like
me too.
I don't really I got pretty thick skin growing up with the family I did. So I miss, let's just say the era before pre-woke days of that. I like
George Carlin.
Oh yeah, he's funny.
I like George Carlin. Cat Williams, right? Mm-hmm. Can't forget old Cat. And then Dave Chappelle, right? The Chappelle Show is one of the greatest TV shows ever.
Yes.
I mean, it was the Chappelle Show. Yeah, it's I actually, did you watch his new stand-up comedy?
Not yet.
On Netflix. Yeah,
not yet.
It's hilarious. I'm not gonna give nothing away, but it's good. And everybody listening, my favorite is still BT. BTB, shout out.
You gotta watch this later.
Yeah, right. You better watch this. I'm gonna send it to him for sure. It'll be out tomorrow. It usually takes a couple hours for it to render. I do it while I'm asleep. When I wake up in the morning, I push it out to Spotify, so it'll be out tomorrow, so everybody can watch it. But yeah, that's hilarious. Favorite music?
I really like a lot of different things, but like my Spotify wrap up this year is like all over the place. But I really like kind of like dance, techno, like anything that gets me like happy and like just right. Like just Jersey Shore, just
Let's go.
Wow.
Give me the yeah.
Yeah. But I really love Dolly Parton,
Yeah.
and I just finished her book, like Behind the Seams, like about all of her costumes. Very,
Nice.
very good table or coffee table book. Lots of
Nice.
good pictures. I love pictures. I don't really like
Me
reading too much, but there was lots of good pictures. Kept me
Yeah.
reading.
Yeah, I'm an audiobook guy myself, right? I
Mhm.
was gonna ask you your actually favorite book. I just got done listening to Matthew McConaughey, Greenlight. Oh my god, what a good book.
Yeah.
Yes, that's a very good book. Yes, absolutely. So what book are you reading right now or listening
Um,
to?
haven't been listening to like any books, but I don't like reading because I just kind of
I go to sleep.
yeah, I go to sleep because I'm sitting still too long. So yeah, audiobooks are good because like I can be doing something with my hands and then listening to other stuff. I do listen to a lot of podcasts. That's
Me
my
too.
big thing lately. And
Okay, favorite podcast.
what's it called? I like listening to podcasts about cults. I just
But
think
listen,
fascinating.
listen.
Oh, sounds like a cult. That's what it's called.
There's a trend that I've noticed with women. It's my wife, her friends, all the women I've had on here. What we listen to cults and murder mysteries, every single one of them. I'm like, duly noted for sure. No. It's I like that stuff too. To be honest with you, one of them ain't pinned to gas. What color? What? No, I'm just joking. Yeah. I listen to a lot too. I like, of course, who's I listen to? Of course, I listen to a lot of the MotoGP ones. One of my favorites is Moto PG. Good mates of mine out there in Australia, Boris Tuggs and Fredo. Big shout out to them. They're hilarious. If you ain't listened to them, you got to check them out. Of course, my man Dave Neal, Off Track Podcast. He's out there in BSB. He interviews all those guys. So yeah, I do murders and mysteries too. Man, I think it's called the Coffee. Is it the Coffee House Killers? I can't remember. Hillary at work actually turned me on that because I went in their office one day. I'm like, what are you listening to? Because it was like during this massive murder scene. So I was glued, right? I was like, hell yeah, because I like horror flicks. You like horror flicks?
Oh, if I'm not going to bed right after. I just like watching funny stuff.
Yeah, that's
or documentaries. Love documentaries.
Who don't, right? So listen, I'm actually watching. I know we're kind of getting all over the place right now, but that
Greg's gonna be like, let's talk about motorcycles again.
Right. Like, what are you guys doing? I thought this was Pin to Gas, not Food Network. Right?
There's a different type of pin the gas after you eat. Hey.
Facts. 110%. So, do you like spicy food?
Not really. I'm like a 2 out of 10 spicy girl. I mean, I'm pretty pasty white. I can't handle that.
I like spicy food, so I do that. The last dab, the hot ones where the guy interviews all the guys. Yes,
Yeah.
The last dab, the last one it's good. It's hot. I ain't gonna lie, but yeah, it's.
I like watching other people do that from the safety of my own couch, or like
right.
Drinking a glass of milk, or
drinking a glass of milk. That's hilarious. Yeah. So, do you like to cook?
Yes. Mostly desserts. I love making a mean French silk pie from scratch with like a nice buttery crust. But for a while there, and I kind of had to drop them, but like HelloFresh, I didn't like their delivery service. Sorry, throwing you guys under the bus, but they taught me a lot about cooking, especially like using lemon zest in your food, and like that can really like turn
enhancing.
Yeah. Oh, like lemon zest, everything.
Listen, I love to cook. I get it from my mom, so I use lemon and lime on a lot of stuff because it refreshes. It's so good, right? You just squeeze a little lime lemon on it. I drink a lot. I put fresh lemon in my water a lot. So yeah, and drink it like that. People are like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "You never had lemon water, man? It's so good. It's good for you too, right?" Yeah, absolutely. So your favorite food, Chloe?
I really like sushi a lot. I like a poke bowl. I can eat that like all day. Okay, rewind. I like cereal a lot. Or breakfast. I can have breakfast all day, every day. cereal, eggs, you name it. Like if I can only have just one meal a day, it'd be breakfast.
So what you cooking for breakfast then? What is it?
So Gordon Ramsay cooks these. If I have enough time, he makes these really delicious, like soft scrambled eggs. So it's like you have it in a sauce pot, and you put like I think it was like creme de fraiche or whatever. I don't know how to say the fancy stuff. But like you literally have to keep stirring it and stirring it and stirring it, and don't let it get too hot. You gotta like pull it off. And then it's like fresh chives out of like my garden. Love gardening. Some fresh tomatoes and like salt and pepper on that. Oh, you just like pour it out onto your like a little crunchy, chewy bread piece. That's like my jam. That's the ultimate summer breakfast. Like, but it's I haven't had time for that. I'm always like traveling lately, so I don't really have time to eat. So I'm eating out a lot. And back to race weight last year, not good. But you know, little Debbie took the wheel over the holidays, and I had fun.
What's your favorite Little Debbie snack?
Is it those little cosmic brownies? Those little waxy.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
I hate them now, but I love
with the
them.
little dots in them or whatever, little
Those little
candies on them.
colorful little.
Yeah, they look so good too. You're like, "Ooh, I
Yes.
just want one. Let me get
Yeah.
it, please."
But then you feel like crap afterwards. Like American
Yeah.
food is just so shitty.
It is. It's yeah. Speaking of that Netflix, it's about eating healthy and stuff like that. It's yeah, I changed my diet around because I used to be a fat ass, right? I ain't gonna lie, I did. Hey, I ain't gonna lie, dude. I was almost in a size 40
Ooh.
pants,
Oh no.
right? Yeah, I'm in a 34 now.
Oh, yeah. But
So,
do you feel like your knees feel better and like?
oh yeah, I can look down and see everything.
Perfect.
It's not just a mountain.
Yeah.
With a belly button, right? I just I just got right. I can make fun of myself. Yeah. I don't care. It's good stuff. It's yeah, I changed exactly what I eat. I stopped fast food. I didn't grow up eating drinking cereal. Yeah, don't do that. Don't drink cereal and drive, kids. It's bad for you. Like soda, right?
Yeah.
Because I got ADHD and my parents didn't put me on Ritalin, so and they try to keep out like yellow dyes and red dyes out all my shit, right? But of course, you know, you get older and you're like, man, everything's so good. It's quick, it's easy. I ain't got to cook it, right? And the next thing you know, you get bigger and bigger and bigger. Anyway, long story short, I wanted to lose a bunch of weight, got tired of what I look like and what I represented and the way my son probably looked at me, right?
Sure.
So yeah, I just changed what I eat, do some exercise. So I'm big into Wim Hof method where you do the breathe in and you do the ice baths. Yes. Do you like ice baths?
I haven't done an ice bath, but I went to this like the Kohler Water Spa near me, and they have like a circuit that you do. So you go in like the pool, and then you go in like a dry sauna, like a steamy sauna. I know I'm probably not saying the correct rooms correctly, but then you jump in like a cold plunge, and then you do that over and over and over again. But the cold plunge, like if you just control the breathing, and then it feels really good. And I've never felt so refreshed, but it was probably because I was gone without my phone for like 3 hours.
Yeah.
That probably helped too.
You know, and social media is so part of racing and getting sponsorships and yeah, all that good stuff. It's we're a slave to our phone, right?
Yeah.
Especially like people that podcast and do all that other stuff. I mean, we're always on social media, reaching out to people, talking, scheduling. Yeah, it's a full-time job. Kevin says, have you ever gone head to head on track against Jeremy yet?
Only the time I crashed in front of him when I showed him how fast I was. But I'm afraid to go head to head against Jeremy because it's weird when you're in the same class or you're racing directly against each other. Because I'm like, okay, I don't want to hurt him, but I want to pass him, and you're like conflicted, and then it just gets me out of like my flow state. So He can be on the same track as me, but we better not be in the same class racing, which is going to be interesting because if he races middleweight on his KZ and then I race heavyweight on my future KZ, um, he might do the bump up and I'll be like, well, at least mine's got more power. I have no excuse. I better just leave your ass in the dust. But he's really good at starts and I'm not.
That's all right. That's all right. You'll get there for sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So, I mean, your favorite wine, because I like wine too, right? I'm not a white wine. I do like it, but it's got to be the right one, right? If you know what I mean. I like red wine. Is actually my favorite.
I'm a little snooty faluti at this point, and I love me a bottle of Camus, decanted for 2 hours. So
listen, I love it.
flavor.
Yeah.
But I know a lot of like big wine people, because I mean, this Camus is not cheap, so it's like every once in a while you get it as a treat.
Yeah.
But people are like, oh, it's too sugary. That's why you like it. But you like what you like. If it like, I like some wine at Aldi that's it's just like $10 and it tastes delicious.
Good. Yeah.
But I know what Aldi's doing. They're like some people will debut their wines at Trader Joe's or Aldi and it'll be like rated really highly, but they're testing it out in the market. And then all of a sudden it goes away and you don't know where it went. And now, you know what? It's some new big label that's selling for like $60 a bottle.
Right.
It's an entire gimmick, but
it is. Listen, it really is. There's a lot of things in this world we could say it's a freaking gimmick, right?
Yeah.
I mean, let's just be honest. It's listen, we've been at this for an hour and 30 minutes, and it only seems like we've been going at it for 20 minutes. So yeah, it's good. Well, I'm actually gonna we'll cut this in, but we will definitely do a part 2 and a part 3 and all that good stuff. So yeah, listen, thank you to everybody that watched and commented and all that. But before we get out of here, Chloe, do you have anything to say? How can they follow you and all that good stuff?
I mean, the best way you could follow me is on Instagram. It's Chloe Rides _708. That's where I share most of my motorcycle adventures. And I mean, what do I want to say to the people? Thanks for watching, and I appreciate you. And thanks to everybody in my motorcycle community that's supported me and networked with me. And that's what it's about. It's about family. And yeah, being tough out there on the track is good.
That's right. You know what?
Be a little Viking out there. Unleash your inner warrior, because when you play in Twins Cup, there are a bunch of axe murderers.
Until Valhalla, right? Yes, absolutely. I love it. Yeah, it's good stuff. You know, a lot of my friends out there in the UK have a program that they do where they'll do like my man Jake Marsh right here, Club 45, right? So he'll be like, you know, for 45 pounds, you get like a shirt or a signed hat and then your name on his race bike, right? Or whatever, right? It's a good way to, I think it's a good way for people to help fund, you know, tire weekend, man. Let's just be honest. You know, if you're super fast, your tire bill is probably $1,500 at least a weekend, right? If it,
I haven't gotten to that bad yet, but well, Moto America's different.
Yeah,
I haven't seen my tire bill ever.
No,
I didn't have to worry about it this year.
Girl, yes, Diane, girl is a badass. You
Thanks,
right.
Diane. You are too.
Yes, she is. Diane's a warrior, absolute warrior. But yeah, absolutely. This will be out on Spotify. We're on everywhere but Apple. Like, I just need somebody to help me figure out, like they want my logo in with my RSS feed, and every time I like Google it or YouTube it, it's like I go down this matrix and it's like take the blue pill or the red pill. So one trip I take the blue pill and I don't find shit, right? It's so confusing. And the other trip I'm like, you know what, today I'm gonna take the red pill and see what that does. Same thing. It's like I go, it's yeah, but it's everywhere. I'm on like Boom Play. I never even heard of Boom Play, and all that good stuff. But yeah, listen, Chloe, what an honor. I had such a great time. I can't wait to do this again.
Thank you.
And yeah, it's awesome. Can't wait to see what 2024 has in store for you. And of Of course, you know,
Dank wheelies.
thanks, big dank wheelies, right? You already know I'm a huge fan. Yeah, got my stickers. I can't wait to I haven't decided where I'm gonna put it yet because
You got 2 more coming tomorrow,
okay,
so
thank you. Yes.
you don't get the sticker fatigue.
Yes, that's awesome. And then Kevin says, best of luck in 2024. Enjoy watching your progression.
Thanks,
Hope you
Kevin.
did.
Appreciate you and your photography skills.
Absolutely, dude. Those photographers, they're awesome people, ain't they?
Yeah.
Like what they do. I see them with them cameras, and they're not. So, real quick story for you in this. We could talk all day.
Oh, yeah.
I love it. So
It's a good Midwestern goodbye. Like
it is, right. They're like they went on for another 15 minutes. Damn it, yeah. BSB. I'm out there, and this dude lays this camera, this lens down. I thought it was a camera. It's a fucking Canon, right? And he's like, "Hey, mate, will you go there and go hammer that?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure, no problem." I went down and pick it up. I was like, "Holy shit, this thing is proper heavy. Like, it's no bullshit." So those guys, I highly admire you, Kevin, and what you do. I know it's not easy, and it's what you guys do is awesome. For sure. It's good stuff. But anyway, listen, thank you to everybody for tuning in on this Thursday. What an honor it is to have everybody here, especially Chloe Maddrill. Yes, I was so excited. This is good stuff. No problem. I can't wait until we get to do it again. Hopefully we'll be able to meet sometime soon in the near future.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. So, but anyway, thank you guys so much. This will be out on Spotify and all that good stuff. I already said that. Actually, Chloe, we also went live on LinkedIn. So we go live on LinkedIn now too, as well.
Whoa.
So people can go to LinkedIn and watch this too, right? Which is cool. I was doing it too on Instagram. I did one with me and Juju did. It was my first test run with it, but when I go back, I can't find it nowhere. It's nowhere. So I was like, you know what? Scrap it. I'll just do the little short story stuff. But anyway, Paul Worley, thank you. Great show. Appreciate you.
Oh, that's my uncle.
Oh, hi, Uncle. I appreciate you, man. Yeah, absolutely. I hope you had a good time. I say proper mega. Well, mega. That's one of my favorite words to say. But Chloe, again, what an honor. Thank you guys for joining Pin the Gas podcast. Until next time, as my man Jules always calls me, Chris, the whole effing show, Simcoe. Chloe Maddrill, thank you so much. It's an honor. Until next time, I will see you guys. Give me 1 minute, Chloe. Hang on.
Yeah.